today I want to specifically cover productivity in the Quest 3. Many people jump into VR and expect it to be an extremely productive environment, or at least have the ability to be more productive. We've all been sold this idea of a 100-inch TV in front of us that we can work on, and you have so much more real estate, and there's so much more capabilities because of that. I want that just as much as anyone else. And I think the people building this also want that. But reality doesn't always look exactly the same. And I'm going to cover some of the pros and cons of what's working for me, and some of the things that I'm expecting to see change in the future. So this is my Meta Quest 3. I am using the open facial interface. I have a video about that, and I've loved it so much. I try to take it with me everywhere I go, and I pull it out sometimes when I'm in, tight spaces. Sometimes I'm sitting in the front of my car. Other times I'm just laying down on the couch, or it's late at night and I don't want to bother anyone. So when I'm using my Quest, I'm typically doing a lot of multi-window with pass-through. That is my primary use case for this device. It is an AR device for me. And I think increasingly, you're going to find the most common use case tends to be this. A lot of people just want to persist in real life. We want to walk around our real-world environment. We just also want to have a TV anywhere we go. I will get the pros out of the way. I want to cover the best use cases for this device when it comes to productivity. The fact is, I can have virtual displays anywhere I go. That is the clear seller here. That's the benefit overall. My virtual displays tend to be a mirror display of my Mac. I like to have my complete computer interface open because honestly, it's a little slow using the virtual keyboard and the controller to navigate through many multi-windowed spaces. It's nice because this is basically a spatial cursor, but I still don't have a keyboard, so input is really clunky. And again, if I'm using this late at night, I don't want to just be talking to myself. Sometimes audio isn't the input that I really want to be using. Sometimes I just want to type 5 random letters on a keyboard. It is one of the main selling points to me of the Apple Vision Pro because I could use my Mac keyboard, I could mirror my Mac, and I could also use my mouse across any of the displays. So that to me is a superpower. That's exciting. But I'm also not ready to spend that type of money for a slight quality of life benefit. The other thing I like about the Quest is that it is wireless. I don't have to worry about having wires in order to connect it to my different devices or to access the internet. Even when I'm on the go, I can connect it to my phone via Wi-Fi hotspot or my Starlink Mini. I will make another video about that. It's sitting right over here right now. But the thing to me is that I have the ability to access the internet in this space. It is highly portable. This is probably one of the best primary value props of this device. It's highly portable. I can take this anywhere. Now look, I know many of you are not using your Quest like I am. I know many of you have the Halo strap. It's a larger device. I get that. I'm not here for VR most of the time. I do a little bit of it, but I'm really here for AR. Honestly, I want AR glasses that just happen to do VR. That's my ideal use case. Now let me get into some of the cons here. The Quest OS is early at best. It is, I would say, nowhere near as mature as Apple Vision Pro's window management is. I've used the Apple Vision Pro and I love the stickiness of the windows. I still run into the problem where I put my Quest on at slightly the wrong angle and it doesn't level out the windows, so all my windows are sideways. I still run into the problem where it's asking me to create a boundary all the time, even though I'm just using pass-through. Or the crazy one, which is the sound effect for create a boundary is playing in the background, even though I'm using pass-through and have no clue what it is. I figured that bug out recently. And when it comes to productivity, if I'm using the remote desktop feature from the Quest line, then I'm able to see multiple virtual displays, and I can also do it in pass-through. Unfortunately, the quality isn't that great in that app. I feel like it needs a little bit more attention. Whereas Virtual Desktop is a fantastic app, and using it is so much better, but I can't do pass-through very effectively, and with my Mac, I can't actually do multiple displays, which kills me. Like, what's the point of this infinite virtual space if I can't actually use it? The other obvious downside is, depending on the quality of my Wi-Fi, the FPS gets pretty low when I'm using streaming from my computer. And that can be really difficult. If I'm just trying to move a couple of windows around in a virtual system, it's really hard if I can't actually see what windows are moving. If I'm just typing things, that's fine. But at that point in time, why not just use my computer? letters are more crisp and clear, and I can just keep doing the work that I'm doing, especially because I'm typing. I need a keyboard in front of me anyway. On my Mac, I can lower the brightness of my screen all the way to 0. On my Windows device, I cannot do that. So if I'm doing screen mirroring from my Mac, it's okay because no one sees my screen. But if I'm doing it from my Windows computer, there's still some brightness. I can't disable the screen display. It would be really nice to have like a blackout option or something. Also, if you're using this for over 2 hours, you do start to get some neck pain. That's just the nature of wearing something heavy on your head, or maybe the fact that I need to do more shoulder exercises. One of the very frustrating things with working in a dark environment, if I'm doing any nighttime work using the Quest, I get a lot of fogginess because of the way that the light affects the lens. So I try to do darker environments, or I just try and boost brightness across the board. Because if I have a dark room and one white box, everything just kind of glows. I know that's actually worse on the older lenses. I think they are, there's Fresnel lenses and pancake lenses. So the Quest 3 has the pancake lenses, and even with that, I still get a little bit of that light effect. I know on the Fresnel lenses, which are on the Quest 3S and also the Quest 2, you're going to get a slightly different amount of visual noise coming from those lenses, and it actually will be a little bit worse. After all of those things, I actually don't mind putting up with it because the added benefit is so nice. It's really great getting to use virtual displays. I love being able to throw a giant screen up with a movie and then work in front of it. That's a great experience. Even with all of the little hiccups, there are 2 primary problems that I put up with on a regular basis that I can't stand. These are the biggest problems that I deal with in terms of quality of life, and I wish they would really change. One of them can definitely be improved. The other one, we'll see. First one is I can't interact with the Quest OS and my computer at the same time. That goes for my Mac and my Windows computer. I have to keep the controller next to my keyboard at all times just to make sure that I can swap back and forth. And there are so many times where I'm looking at my Mac display with this, trying to click around, or looking at my Netflix display and trying to click on my trackpad even though I forgot that it's a browser window using the Quest OS. I use a tool called Synergy that runs my cursor across different devices, and it basically simulates cursor inputs from one device to another. So there is definitely a solution here. There could be a way to use your cursor from your computer effectively in the Quest operating system, but then also you're going from a 2D trackpad to something more three-dimensional, and that could be difficult. And the thing that I think that they could fix most easily that causes me a lot of friction is window management. In general, window management seems like an afterthought on the Quest, and to be fair, I know it hasn't been the primary focus up until maybe the Apple Vision Pro was launched. The Quest 3 has a dock, and that dock holds 3 windows. If I want to move windows outside of that dock, I can drag them anywhere in my space. But if I have a window in that dock, it means I can carry the entire dock around with me anywhere I go. My primary use case is pass-through. Most of the time, I'm going to put something in the dock, have it sitting right in front of me. I typically have the remote display with another virtual display on the side. I like it that way. And then I open the quick settings. And instead of the quick settings being a pop-up, instead of it being a drop-down or a modal, it's actually a full window that goes directly in between my virtual displays, which just drives me crazy. There are so many pages inside of the Quest operating system that feel like they should be a separate window that float above the docked windows, and they don't. They are a part of the docked windows. So I open quick settings, and then I open settings, and now they are both open as separate windows. And sure, the solution to that, move my virtual displays back into the environment. I carry them around, I move them somewhere else. That's fine. But now I can't move them all together with the dock. Now they're stuck. There's no window management solution for this yet. I would love a multi-select feature. I would love like a grouping function or some sort of like session control where I could maximize and minimize 3 windows at a time. If you think about the real world use case, I take 20 windows from my computer, I fold it up, I take it to another room, I open it up, and there are those 20 windows. It would be great if I could just take a group of windows and put them in a bag and then go to my next environment and say, open those up again. I don't care if they conflict a little bit with the environment. That's fine. I just want that workspace to persist. Now, just a quick note. Meta did announce that they have a V71 update, which has a visual redesign and a couple of other functions, like a travel mode. So some of the critiques I have, like the corner rounding being off in some of the windows, or there's weird conflicting components that are rendering issues, or even some of these windows that currently exist inside of the dock as opposed to being floating. Maybe next week there might be a solution for that. So they're saying here they're tweaking the look and feel of Horizon OS. The dark and light themes have been optimized for clarity, viewing, and reading contrast, and there are other improvements to the way the panels look and behave, where the control bar resides, and the colors of various UI elements and so on. It's a significant overhaul, and we're excited to get it into your hands and hear your feedback. They also talk about a redesigned settings menu as well. I'll probably end up doing a full review of the V71 update and maybe revise some of my current statements. I want productivity to exist in virtual reality. I want to be able to do that successfully. Right now, I know the Apple Vision Pro is probably the best fit for my world, but to be honest, I like the competition. I want these companies to keep building better products so that we, the consumers, benefit. I think it's fantastic to see the different approaches that companies are taking to virtual reality, and I hope that they share their learnings with us and with each other so that over time we have the best virtual augmented reality that we could have. Increasingly, the Quest is focusing on that pass-through mode productivity experience. They didn't invest heavily into it in the beginning because, to be honest, there wasn't a huge selling point there. The Apple Vision Pro really brought that to light, and since then, it seems like there is a new sense of urgency around making people feel productive in VR. For me at least, pass-through will always be the primary use case for my Quest. It will probably be my primary use case moving forward. That's always been my goal and vision. VR, the selling point to me is gaming. It's exercise. It's a couple of immersive environments, and that to me is not really the selling point. It's a nice little background thing, but I want to see screens overlaid in my world. That is the thing that I want. I want to be able to never bring around a laptop again. I want my phone in my pocket, a pair of glasses on, and the entire world at my fingertips. But until then, the Quest 3 is a decent productivity tool that just needs a little bit of tweaking.